So AI is making decisions about your career, but can we actually trust it? That's what we're digging into today. The critical need to be able to trace the logic behind artificial intelligence and human resources.
I mean, just think about it for a second. AI is already doing everything from writing job descriptions to screening your resume to even analyzing employee performance. It's supposed to be faster, smarter, and more objective. And this is a big but, all that efficiency comes with a massive question mark.
Right, and this really is the billion-dollar question, isn't it? When an AI recommends you for promotion, or maybe even passes you over, can we actually see why it made that choice? Because let's be real, in HR, an unexplainable decision isn't just some abstract data point. No way. It could be a lawsuit waiting to happen, a career path totally derailed, and the complete breakdown of trust in the whole system. That trust, absolutely non-negotiable.
Okay, so to really get a handle on the risks here, we've got to talk about this thing experts call the AI black box. Think of it this way. It's kind of like the difference between a simple calculator and a creative partner. A calculator, it just follows the rules, right? You can always check its math. But this new generative AI, well, it's more like an artist. It actually creates something new from scratch. And just like with any artist, trying to figure out its creative process, its inspiration, can be almost impossible. That's the black box. So here we are with these super powerful, super mysterious black boxes making these huge decisions about people's lives. How in the world are we supposed to trust them? Well, the answer starts with building a really solid foundation, a framework of key principles. And really, it all boils down to this one crucial idea: explainability. This is literally the key that unlocks the black box. What it means is, for every single decision the AI makes, we should be able to ask, hey, why did you do that, and get a clear, understandable answer. And let me be clear, this isn't some nice-to-have feature. It's the absolute bedrock of making things fair and holding the system accountable. But, explainability doesn't work in a vacuum. It's just one part of a bigger picture. Kind of like a compass for leading ethically with AI. You've got to have fairness, right? To make sure the algorithm isn't biased. You need transparency, so everyone understands how these things work. You absolutely need accountability, so there's always a person responsible for the outcome. And of course, human oversight, because a person has to make the final call. They all have to click together. Okay, these principles sound great on paper, for sure. But what happens when we don't follow them? Let's take a look at a real cautionary tale of what can happen when AI gets it wrong. You see, bias is a really sneaky thing. It can creep into the system at three main points. First, in the data itself. Think of it like a polluted well. Then, it can be in the actual design of the algorithm, like a flawed blueprint for a house. And finally, it can pop up right at the end, when we humans start to rely on the AI's answers without thinking critically. A perfect example of this: some of those early AI hiring tools that kept recommending men over women. And why did they do that? Well, it's because they were trained on decades of company data from a time when the workforce was mostly male. The AI wasn't born sexist. It just learned our own historical biases, and then, well, it scaled them up with frightening efficiency. This really gets to the heart of it. It's the ultimate gut check for anyone in HR. The tech is amazing, no doubt. But is using it for this specific thing the right thing to do? That's a question only a human can answer. All right, so we've seen the dangers. Let's pivot and talk about solutions. How do we actually take these principles and put them into practice? How do we build AI that we can genuinely trust? And the key thing to remember is that for every single risk, there's a real, concrete solution. If you're worried about algorithmic bias, the answer is regular audits and much more diverse training data. If you're worried about employees not trusting the system, you need crystal clear communication and those explainable models we talked about. See? This isn't just theory, it's a practical roadmap. And this is happening in the real world. Just look at a company like IBM. They actually set up an AI ethics board. It's a whole team that acts like a gatekeeper. Before any AI tool gets launched, it has to go through fairness audits and compliance checks. And they don't stop there. They keep monitoring it after it's live. That's a pretty powerful model for any company that's serious about doing this right. So all these systems, all these audits, all these principles, they all point to one final, absolutely critical piece of the puzzle: keeping a human in the loop. Look, this isn't about AI taking over jobs. It's about creating a new kind of partnership, The AI is your brilliant research assistant, right? It can power through mountains of data and spot patterns that no human ever could. It's great at telling you what is happening, but it's the HR professional who brings the context, the experience, to understand why it's happening, and then figures out the best thing to do about it.
So at the end of the day, as AI gets incredibly good at giving us the data, the most valuable human skill left is providing the wisdom. And that's the real challenge for every leader out there. It's not just about plugging in new tech, it's about fundamentally rethinking what it means for us to be human at work.